going on, Music Familia? This is the Antman from MusicFamiliaProductions.com, hanging out with the one member of Lovesick Radio. Tell them about yourself, my man.
Hey, how's it going? I am Troy. I'm singer for Lovesick Radio, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
The first thing that I want to say is thank you for doing what you do as an artist and musician, man. Thank you. I know the other guys are off on some projects. They played, and I know Dave is getting ready to jump on a plane.
He's flying to L.A., and I couldn't be with them on Thursday. We're all crazy busy, but I'm glad I got the chance to stop by.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, man, thank you for coming out to shows and supporting music, because if there was nobody to play for, we wouldn't be doing what we do. So.
How long, Troy, have you been in music?
Oh, man, I have that cliche answer. Since I was a kid, I really started just with my brother. We started bands, and so, I mean, my earliest memories were getting on the little fireplace mantle and putting on shows for my parents' friends. And then somewhere around high school, we picked up guitars and started doing the rock and roll thing. So it's been kind of since I was just a little kid.
What are some of the influences that you thrive from, from the childhood?
Absolutely. Man, I'm, again, all over the map. But the people that really kind of stuck with me are these guys that could just paint a picture and have an amazing story. And, one of the greats just kind of passed, but Tom Petty was a huge influence on me. I mean, just from melody and hook to just all the stories he could tell. But, I mean, anybody, Petty, Mellencamp, just the guys that could sit there and sit down with a guitar and just make you stop for a while.
What are some of your fondest memories learning music coming up?
Learning, it was interesting because I had an older brother, and my passion was always songwriting. But he played guitar, and I was by default the bass player. But in order to write a song, for me, I needed a guitar. So he'd go out on dates. I would sneak in his room and pick up guitar and kind of learn it, right? And just troubleshoot. I never took lessons. And we'd go to practice, and I'd be like, hey, here's a song. Let me try it. Let me just grab that. He never put two and two. How did you learn to play guitar? But it was when he was out on dates, I would sneak into his room and learn how to play. So
what songs did you learn how to play when you snuck in there? What was your hidden secret?
Dude, that's the thing. I was horrible. So I didn't learn covers, man. I truly just started writing my own stuff from the beginning. And honest to God, it's because I couldn't play anyone else's. Now, later on, when I developed the craft, so I kind of went in reverse. Most people start learning covers.
Right.
And I just didn't have the patience. So I wanted to write my own stuff. And then as I started to appreciate music, we'd start throwing covers in. So I had the chops and I could actually play their stuff. But, I mean, for me, like some of the easier stuff was like back in the day, I'd learn some Silverchair, just drop D tunings, just like some heavier, it was just fun to tool around with because I thought those guys were cool because at the time they were like 16. And I'm like, dude, I want to be that guy. So
were you like Tom Cruise from Risky Business with a guitar sliding across?
Yeah, I didn't do the socks, man. Maybe it was because we had too much carpet in our house.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, playing for Lovesick Radio, now what you're doing and coming into what I understand is a kind of a new role.
Absolutely.
What is that like?
It's something I've never done. We're kind of doing a style I've never done, which is what was attractive to me. I'm always wanting to grow. It's odd for me because I don't have a guitar in my hand. And normally in all my other bands, I've always played. And this gives me the opportunity to hone my craft as a frontman and to really kind of work on that, as well as take things vocally that I haven't done before and mix in influences that I haven't really worked with, because I'm always looking to grow. I don't want to keep putting out the same stuff. And, all my bands have had completely different vibes, and they kind of all fulfill me in different ways. And this is just another piece of that.
Kind of a Scott Steps kind of way, right?
You think? Okay, yeah, man. I don't know, man. I like I said, I just kind of take in as much as I can. But no, that's hey, man, he's a front man, I'm a front man. We're all just he sold a lot of records, so I'm not going to hate on that.
What's it like being in a band so diverse? There's a bunch of guys, a bunch of minds, a bunch of creative minds trapped on a 12 or 14 foot stage for 30, 45 minutes. How do you guys put all that in? For some bands, it's a curse. For our band, it's a blessing. I think we've all been in so many other bands that we know what we want and what we don't want. And we don't want the drama. The biggest thing is you got to leave your ego off the stage. And you got to welcome influences, and you got to welcome new ideas. And everybody in this band is so open to that.
Now, when you're young, everyone's got their idea of how it should be, and that's when you start butting heads. But we all kind of came together organically for the love of music and just as professionals. So in this band, it's never really been a problem. It's actually worked as a blessing rather than a curse that we have so many different influences.
I know you're about to get out of here, Troy, but if you had a couple things for some of the new guys coming up, what kind of advice would you give to some of the younger guys that are like, wow, Lovesick Radio, like, I want to be that, I want to do that?
Yeah. First and foremost, leave your ego at the door. We've played China, my other bands, I've toured the country, and it gets you nowhere. It'll stop you before you literally start. You can, mess your whole career up if you get one bad reputation. Those guys are hard to work with. So before you even start playing music, make sure you don't have an ego about it, and be thankful and grateful. So that would be number one. Number two is polish it. Anybody can go out there and bash some guitars around, but make sure it is elite. And one of the biggest things when I started recording in studios is playing to a click track. A lot of bands are doing it live. We don't do it live with Lovesick, but I have in other bands. But it just sharpens it. So at least when you're practicing, make sure you're tight to that click. A lot of drummers are like, oh, no. Practice on that click. It'll save you for the studio, and it'll make you a better live performer. I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, but those are probably the two. Just I could talk all day about it, but drop the ego and sharpen it and make it tight. You want your stops to be punchy and just pull it all together.
I wanted to ask one more question before we get out of here.
Sure.
So you've been around, you've done it, and you've seen it. What is your take on support, like local support? I mean, just as a musician, as an artist, if there's 4 bands on a bill for any given night, how do you feel, about the whole support and everybody sticking around until the end of the show?
Absolutely. Support, it needs, it sounds funny, the support needs the support, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the supporting bands need the support of the audience to come early, show up, because, when I was on tour with Candlebox, Kevin Martin would tell me stories about, how they went out with Rush and they were so gracious to them because they said, you never know who's going to pass you on the way up.
Right.
You just don't know. The next band, the next big thing could be on that stage playing to 5 people and you don't know it. So get out there and show support. Not everything's going to be your cup of tea. Not everything's going to be worthy, but, we all need to help each other out, especially locally. You know what I mean? Because we're all, it's really just one big family. So I don't know if that's an answer, but that's kind of.
No, but, I think in 2017, 2018, a lot of the younger guys, it's a right now. I want it right now.
Yeah,
and if I don't get it right now, then F it. I'm done.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a wrong mentality. I mean, I feel like you have to have the same attitude as 0 people in the bar as 5,000 people in the bar.
And it's so true. So, for reference, Lovesick just got back from China, and we played to 70,000 people, 100,000 streams on top of that. Well, I also have another project Sunday morning, and it's truly upstart. And I don't expect anyone to know about it. So I go from playing to 70,000 to a room of 20, 30. You know what I mean?
It's got to be great, though, because, I mean, it's a total different
It's a whole different
spectrum.
vibe, but it's starting over. Mm-hmm. And just like anyone else, it doesn't matter where I've been or what I've done, starting over is starting over. Yeah. So you just got to keep it all in perspective. And, again, circle back to check your ego at the door.
Right.
That's really it.
Well, thank you so much, Troy, for doing what you do.
Absolutely, man.
And
thanks for having me. Glad I could get in here.
All right, guys. I am Antman for MusicFamiliaProductions.com, and I will see you guys on Thursdays, Antman Versus, and I'll see you Sunday mornings for Sunday Morning Meltdown.